Hello, and welcome to another episode of my Stellaris Let's Play. This is Northstar. I hope you folks are taking care of each other, being kind to yourselves. Um, so, thoughts I had. I have to start videos with this, kind of stuff. I was talking last video a little bit about the neglect of rural population. Well, actually, the neglect of rural populations, by specifically, I mentioned like the Lenin with the Soviet Union, his whole theories, neglected rural populations. You can see with the U.S. Democrats, left-wing movements often ignore rural populations. A mistake I'm going to try not to make with my own empire. I'm going to eventually run agrarian idle for a while, get the agrarian utopias tech. Um, Learn from the example of the First League, which collapsed because their capital, which was a city planet, starved. You'll see the story of that. Uh, History will kind of rhyme but not repeat itself because the original empire here that will build the city plants will collapse, but no, the successor empire will probably not build any more city plants, but have a bunch I built. Um, and because I won't take that Ascension Park again, nor World Shaper for sure. Maybe city plants if I really want to control more of the galaxy, but I can always rely on vassals sometimes taking that perk that I spin off Federation members. Since you spin off a vessel, they can select different ascension perks as far as I understand. Something I'll be relying on myself with playing as my own successor empire. But yeah, left-wing movements can ignore rural populations. Part of the reason is because left-wing movements often originate in cities which are highly educated and with universities and stuff. And so cities tend to be the centers of left-wing movements, whether that's communism or liberalism. The Democratic Party is a liberal party. They're not social democrats unless you're talking about Bernie Sanders. They, in fact, want to cut um, welfare programs and stuff. I guess they're more of a center. They're actually in the global scale center right, even if people call them center left in U.S. politics. But you see like social democracy, like Bernie Sanders, but he's from Vermont. That's a rural state. Okay, it doesn't apply great for the U.S. It applies though to left wing movements in like Europe better. Um, because like the most, yeah, Vermont is actually home to probably the most left-wing movement in the U.S. But then I guess if you look at like the Party for Socialism and Liberation, have their centers in like major cities. If you look at the Democratic Socialist America, like socialist movements, cities, and Bernie Sanders still gets most of his support from cities, even if he's from Vermont. The Social Democrat Elizabeth Warren might be considered one, probably more of a progressive, which is not as far to the left as Social Democrats. But, anyways, you gotta learn from history, including the history of this fictional galaxy. I also wanted to apologize. You couldn't hear the game music before, but actually, just to be sure you guys can now. Oh, wow, that's really low. Uh, yeah, so I did more boost. I need to boost the mic so that you guys can actually hear my voice, but the game music was playing the whole time before, well, most of the time, and you couldn't even hear it. So I apologize, folks. That must have been boring, just hearing my voice. Probably lose some viewers over that. These videos, especially when I was ranting on too much about politics for some of you. History and politics. Anyways, I'm working the archives, Anchor, improving mining on the capital, and improving farming on the Synth Prime. Because I don't want to be running civilians or traders right now. Probably need to decentralize production, so I'll need some minerals and energy on Anchor to reduce the planetary deficits. Definitely a generated district on Synth. It's also why I put some farms here, so they weren't running a food deficit. Um, Used to produce most of my energy in my homeworld because there's a debuff to energy production due to generous funding for the Knight's Quest. It's actually any amount of funding, I believe. And even Frugal reduces energy credits. I just started the second quest. Probably do uni. I don't like running a ton of priests and be going hard on researchers. I don't know. There's a lot of really powerful stuff tertians can provide, but also gain it while it's cheap. And bites let the trees ensuring, for instance, they probably spin off a prospectorium for a while, ensuring that they have already unyielding, mercantile, and what else was I going to run? This is going to be genetics ascension. Oh yeah, and harmony. All very useful harmony for the planetary ascensions. Well, I guess the Vests could do something on harmony. I think planetary ascensions disappear when you absorb an empire, so can't make much use of harmony. I can. Unyielding and mercantile are particularly good though to pass on to vassals, especially unyielding. Maybe I just want to do science for my knights. I don't know. Yeah. No, because uni can also be used to improve the consecrated worlds. To run more edicts sometimes when he becomes less viable. And attritions become less valuable. Just run some certain edicts. Just need some flexibility. Yeah. Alright. Priests are more expensive to upkeep in consumer goods, so I can't afford to run more priests. In fact, except once I get the archives. But these will probably be replaced with a monument soon to reduce the number of priests, partly. Get a little passive uni and free up some population that's currently working as priests to go work on other jobs, probably other planets. If I automate the basic resource districts here. Interesting. Possibly turn ag district to generator soon. I have so much energy coming in suddenly. I don't know. I'll certainly make mistakes, but that's just the nature of this game. If I want to have a decent play rate for you guys, I gotta just be willing to make mistakes and forgive myself for them. I don't necessarily do enough in my own life. I constantly kick myself over mistakes made. In fact, there's certain ones I'm not going to talk about. I'm just dwelling on right now. That's not a healthy way to. Makes you less able to emotionally deal with new shocks, new problems. You're still kicking yourself over mistakes you made before. Boulder is playing Barotrauma. That's a good game, but too expensive. I'd play it myself. I like the looks of it, but I don't know, it's time consuming to learn, but I can't afford it. Money is very tight, especially now that I can't stay with family anymore. Stay with the family member who's being abusively, and other family members say like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get involved in fights." Like, it's not a fight. I'm no longer with this person. I'm never gonna be living with that person again. I need somewhere to stay. These people just have family members. They just have any excuse not to help me. They don't want anything that inconvenience them. Honestly, I've never been able to rely on any of them when it counts the most. I mean, they can sometimes be sort of nice. There's a family reunion not too long ago, and that's great. They can sometimes be pleasant to be around and be a little bit kind when it's just words, but when it comes to actions, they... Oop. Forgot to survey the glass red giant here. Let's do that. When it comes to actions, they are never reliable. My extended family does. And I remember staying with, and my grandparents on one side.
Blocker cleared.
Have both been nasty and abusive to me when I stay with them. It's tough. Extended family members don't know the extent of it, but I don't think they want to know the extent of it. That's the thing. They just want to hate you for not getting along with people. They don't want to know what those people did to you. I still get shit from an uncle about when grandparents, and I closed the door when one of those face, but the context was that person was yelling, screaming, shouting. I guess this would be shouting. Definitely not screaming, which is, I consider the top of your lungs. But shouting at me about something I didn't do because this person was developing dementia. And it's like, I'm in a corner room, so I couldn't walk away. And so I just closed the door. And this uncle who's actually very much fascist, still gave me shit not long ago about closing that door. It's like, what do you expect me to do? And I know this was your mother, but this uncle's mother, grandmother, and it wasn't her, it was the grandfather who was shouting at me about something that grandmother had said she was developing dementia. He wasn't cued into the fact she was developing dementia, and it became very obvious not much longer, a few months later, that she was just saying things that hadn't happened and stuff, but he was still in denial about it at this point. It's like, I'm not gonna yell back at you. I'm not gonna I can't walk away. I was going for a lot of like runs at the time. This is way before long COVID. To de-stress, but so I got out when I could, but at this point I was in a situation where I couldn't walk away. So the most non-confrontational thing to do was to simply close the door. It's not like I slammed it, although that became the story. I just closed the door. Yeah, the person was standing right outside shouting at me, but bedroom door, the room that I was cornered in, but it's the best thing I could have done in that situation, unless I was going to sit and be shouted at about something I didn't even do. Grandma saying I said something rude that I didn't even say. She was actually mixing up like something that happened with someone else like a decade ago because of the dementia is what I think it turned out to be. But which I think even grandfather eventually realized he was mixing something up. But this uncle, he's judgmental as heck jerk sometimes. And he's like MAGA and super aggressive person. Has real anger issues. I myself trying to find some anger management stuff, but not because I have like way out of control anger issues like this uncle, but because, well, I've been in situations where it's incredibly important I keep my cool, and people are yelling, abusing, nastiness to me, and if I fuck up, whether it's with a bully or family member, if I fuck up and like shout someone I shouldn't shout or do anything worse, the consequences are always out of proportion. Doesn't matter, people can be completely out of control of their own anger with me. I've always been shat on and disempowered and treated to a double standard that others aren't. And this relates to capitalism, actually. This relates to understand how that relates, you have to go back to the history of fascism. Fascists started this anti-socialist, counter-revolutionary movement even before they took over power in countries. It was a movement that originated before Mussolini took power in Italy, and gained popularity in Spain, Italy, and eventually Germany. And at the core of fascist ideology is this focus on the nuclear family. And so what ended up happening with that is as kind of an authoritarian counter-reaction to the rise of Marxism, emphasizing nuclear families is the only thing that mattered, and the absolute dominance of the father, actually. Aliens, what? What are these now? Oh, alright, I got the Aleph and the Mega Aliens. There's a new first contact with something. I don't see where it is. But yeah, that kind of way of doing things, very rich, realized was a valuable way to undermine left-wing movements, and it spread to even non-fascist political, like the Republican Party in the United States adopted this emphasis on the family, like an overemphasis and absolute domination of authority figures within the family as a way to push kind of a broader societal authoritarianism and conservatism. And so this affects the culture, in the United States, this affects why it's so hard for people to get away from abusers often, because abusers are almost always people. In fact, the nature of abuse requires someone to have power over another person. It's pretty much a requirement. You can't have abuse if you don't have some kind of power. That may be like harassment or something else, but for something to be abuse, the abuser has to have power of the other person. And if you have this idea that authority is always justified within families, and that is done to emphasize authoritarianism in society more broadly, because the Republicans became increasingly authoritarian after World War II, to the point where you got Trump now. But even Reagan was pretty authoritarian. No matter what people claim he was about, he wasn't really about small government. It was about a kind of authoritarian neoliberal cutting welfare programs and such. Yeah, anyways. So there's never any attempt to undermine the power of authority figures and families, to realize that very often say the absolute control of parents over their children is unjust, and certainly the control of older family members over adult relatives can be unjustified, or the undue respect. You don't get to scream or yell or insult or put down people. I don't care if you're older. It's never okay. Anyways, the tale of Knights May and Darya, the search. It was no easy feat for Knight Darya Tervetskaya, I'm not even gonna, it's some Russian name, to locate, or maybe Ukrainian, to locate the Molvanis cluster. Certainly, it was not on any map known to the theocratic monarchy. The chronicles tell of how she traveled far and wide until last she came across a people who recognized the name. Travel for 3 square days, remwords of Zirk, and there shalt thou find the Malvanis cluster, they speak. Little is known about the place, for no traveler has been there in living memory. It is said the cluster is barren and bereft of life. If thou goest there, then good fortune be upon thee, for we do not know what thou shalt find. So Darya Pervyaska set off post haste to Malvanis. Post haste. So pull up squires and anchor, but I probably have a slight excess. No need to resettle anyone. Hmm. Some days in the mineral extraction thing. So something very noisy nearby. It's like a basement entrance here, and people barge through and just knock stuff over. They're not careful while they walk. I don't understand. Well, I do actually. There's some evidence that because of the coronavirus pandemic, even people who don't think they did suffered some minor cerebellar damage from coronavirus infections. Like, this is one more reason long COVID is so important as research. Like, the rate of car accidents even would go up after every coronavirus spike. So a lot of people think they're unaffected or a little less coordinated than they used to be. Of course, this is one more thing that helps the rich and powerful get more rich and powerful, because kids with wealthier people are better able to insulate themselves and got fewer COVID infections, and so like their kids are going to be more coordinated and do better in sports and do better in life because they can get their slight cerebellar damage due to the pandemic. Alright, the hair is leveled up. Counselor thing for sure. More pop-up keep reduction. Cool. That should even help with trade a little, because reduce deficits and anchor food. People won't consume quite as much food on anchor. And of consumer goods on the other worlds. Here, deficits. So it's not rare that people aren't being careful when they walk. They're less coordinated than they used to be. And this affects, like, not just... It affects driving. It's not just, it's by decon screen read. That's great. This is a respected world. This is a respected world, and where was the other one? Ah, yes, the synth system. This is a respected world. And a toxic terraforming cannon. There's a toxic world that isn't one I should probably... Search of toxic worlds or moons. respawn system, maybe. It's also a toxic terraforming can. Oh well. It's not like gonna do detox anytime soon. Striber, I might give away to Presbyterian. They'll probably want to hold this synth. Need to have some kind of core. Plants they can carefully manage myself. I don't know. I do habitats here and here. 1, 2, 3 worlds. That'd be like 6 planets with the habitats. That's quite a bit to manage correctly. Probably also this striver because always so many places that I can want to manage myself. And the best thing to do with the Titanic life is pretty sure to hunt it. Can't do that as pacifist. An event chain. I don't know if Bass will get that. Probably not. If I already dealt with it. Presbyterian based in it. Maybe the Stubius 3 system. Someday. Or here. Either one could be the base of a sector, and then I can transform systems that are part of my core. Someday. This will probably be a Presbyterian and a buffer against here. Reduce border friction with whatever empire the Aleph Aliens are. Probably have to fight the hive mind sooner or later anyways, so can't care too much. Border friction. Sorry, I'm talking and looking around too much. Yeah, I asked for like some references, but everyone keeps trying to push towards like, oh, it counts, or person counts who does anger management stuff. Like, that's not efficient. Counselors want to hear about, oh, talk about your father, mother, your history. Like, I mean, there's so many other things that they may be interested in. I'm trying to do a narrow focus on this because, well, when a counselor was growing up and very much person, you know, they want to know about everything, and they very much came to the conclusion I handled some insanely difficult situations very well, actually, with family. A lot of people were treating me very poorly, and I managed it much better than most people my age would have. But I don't need to go through that process again of explaining all the details so someone realizes. I just want to narrow focus on, you know, the actual useful skills, techniques, if there's anything to learn, which there might not be for all I know. I sought speech therapy for my memory issues along COVID, and they couldn't give me hardly anything useful. Of course, maybe the speech therapist wasn't that interested in helping me on Medicaid, but do a good job with it. But, you know, strategies I didn't already know so to help me better deal with the fact that my memory is kind of impaired due to long COVID in person. So maybe I already know the anger management things that exist that most people know about. I'm sure there's things that exist that I don't know about, but to learn about it has to be something that someone else knows about, like that's common. There may be some more niche thing that fewer people know about, but I hope that's not the case because I would like to think there's room for improvement.
System survey concluded.
And I'm not just simply in impossible situations with people treating me in such a way that it's almost possible to really keep cool. Especially someone who probably has a natural, slight genetic predisposition to a little shorter temper, runs in the family for sure. Ah, supply ship wreckage. This is valuable. Can give contact with New Empire and though I may, if I do that, I might miss out on these anomalies. I'll do these first and then sense of precursor activity is probably the most important by far. Do all these. Oh. Maybe I don't want to do the precursor activity with such a low-level scientist. I have to switch it to smalls. Yeah, I'll come back for that. Good thing I did survey the gas giant. Wreckage of supply ship in a close orbit there, basically. There's a world survey of Brand of the Unknown there. That sounds loud. I don't know if it sounds to you guys. I should probably just turn on the mic amplifier so you guys can hear it. Promise some games like Wildermyth have much more intensity, the volume's much softer. I need to turn up the amplifier and they do this because of this game and it's too high. After mineral extraction. The mines may be more important to automate than the farms since there's more valuable since I only have 2 mine districts and I probably want to use that before I turn agriculture district to energy. Yeah. The next thing is actually building here. Well, first mineral process and then enough minerals though. I don't need to trade food or anything yet. Bigger trades are more profitable with AI because you always need a certain margin to make the deal favorable. They won't accept. That margin is less than the total amount of resources traded with bigger deals, so better off storing up food for a little longer. I actually want the level person on. This doesn't need Uni and Science. Advanced resources probably doesn't back governor, right? Let's see. Reserve factor from governor. Nope. Should be for the artisans. Not, yeah. Yeah, there's still too much construction to do here. Third cuts up to wait on the biology lab just because of shortage of consumer goods. Oh, shoot. Shoot. I'll save. Check if I missed something, and we'll read you guys off whatever the text was. Let toast expire. Tired. I'm always tired. Just been a rough day with my long COVID, though. Plus, I think stress more eating me. Okay with dealing with worries, but I got some incredibly large ones in my mind right now. Let's see. Crashed scout ship. Small scout ship of some kind plowed into the surface of this asteroid millennia ago, creating a shallow canyon. There was no visible cockpit in the ship, leading us to believe it was either powered by remote. There's some kind of primitive artificial intelligence. Although it's too damaged to be salvaged, the ship hasn't been picked clean by looters yet. Ah, skilled. Engineering. Okay. I didn't know it was hurt by letting that expire. I just didn't get... It wasn't like there were two options. One was clearly better, but the default wasn't the one I would have picked. Yeah. Still, I should have been more attentive to the toasts. Have to start on the red profits very soon. Been waiting too long on that.
Construction completed.
Starbase. Mining stations are in the star. Not like there's multiple things to queue. Then I'll go get started on that starbase. Mathrop. This energy. Energy resources. And a habitable world here, Sturbius 3. Because the spiritualists won't like colonizing it, but there are unique events you can get from such worlds. Maybe I'll split off a Solarium on Sturbius. Make it just a microvassal and then Prospectoria everywhere else. Make it the point of detox in reasonable time, but also having a square area is beneficial. There's not many resources here. It's not untaxing. Disturbius. Asteroid over. It's got emphasis on minerals and energy. It's a pretty big world. Yeah, maybe I just have this Prospectoria. A bunch of systems. Prospectoria do hurt your tech gain rate, but they give you resources. Of course, the resources are neither created nor destroyed, whereas tech, they'll run techs and you absorb them later, and the tech disappears into thin air, so it's an argument for not having too much Prospectoria. I don't know. They do tech up faster if you give them a big enough substandard research, but they have a debuff to research production. I don't know, I have to think about it. But anyways, in the short run, I'm just going to grab the energy, bypass that, and try and get up to Trent de Bath, or Thari if I can, Edgar. Rochelle. Grab what I can before this Empire does. No, maybe I'll do this before I... System, and then I'll go back for that. No, wait, it's only one after all. I do want to start with Astro Scar, though. None of them have used anything useful for me yet. They haven't given me events, so I don't know exactly how they work. Unfortunately. Maybe I'll do it. Sorry, up that way. Alright. Hey. Put it off forever. I'm gonna forget. The kangaroo. The core reserve fleet too, but they'll be the ones to do boarding. These frame class corvettes are actually more upkeep. Probably technically over in orbit of Hesic Prime. Maybe Anger. I'm not sure. One or the other. I'm going to find out. Well, I'm going to board that cult ship. Start the vent chain. Put off all enough. Just be ready to upgrade ships. quite as soon as I like, but the tale of Knights May and Daria, Malvanis. When Daria, I'm not even going to pronounce it this time, arrived at the Malvanis cluster, she found that it was indeed empty, and for the first time, she felt despair. This had been a most promising lead, but now it seemed as if it had all been for naught. Then, as if emerging from a dream, sensors revealed a planet shrouded in darkness, its orbit entwined in the space betwixt the stars. Bestowing upon it the name Shadowed Princess, she laid a course for it. The answers await. And the cultist ship answers await too. There we go. So it is an orbit of anger. Attached a single corvette to board. Ship that's been sitting there for years, but I mean, presumably that would have led the defenders of the ship to starve and just be a ghost ship at this point. That's not what the game will say happened, but maybe they have closed life support like greenhouses on the ship. And they've been eating and shitting and partying or whatever, or training in this target practice this whole time. Excuse my language. Or hegemonic domain. But she won't be able to form a hegemonic domain and finish domination. Alright. Tipazoan society encountered. Pre-FTL, huh. Okay, cool. We have detected the presence of a pre-space age civilization on Dentar 4. Oh, they might reach space before they're in someone's borders. Probably not. They're in early industrial age, not early space age, with electricity and internal combustion engines gradually coming to widespread use. You should consider building observation posts above the world to study more closely. Unfortunately, that would be the hive mind, and they might just invade. It gets their world. One more reason, though, I'd like to eventually expand that direction. The Guantha herd has been secured. No. This would do the mighty Tassergoid. Let's just think about names for this video. Probably boarding the cultist ship makes sense. My mind does wander though. I think I can safely visit these worlds without problem. Do the other one, then onwards to the unusual temporal fluctuations or whatever other anomalies that way. So scientist gets passive experience leading the ship, but the ship's getting position around the next secret project. Kind of running out of things for scientists to do.
Knowledge is the key to the universe.
Assembly patterns. Rapid iterations and construction simulations determine the optimal component assembly patterns for each building project ahead of time. What would have word salad nonsense there, but whatever. Hmm. Proof corvette holes or materials workshop. As much as I like the idea of materials workshop, I'm strong consumer goods. Let's do improve corvette holes. So instantly make my corvettes tougher. Advances in building techniques allow construction of sturdier, more durable corvettes. Important because I don't want them to be destroyed when fighting the red profits. This won't increase upkeep, will increase the combat effectiveness of my ships, so cool. These commanders have been leveling up by governing a planet and as Minister of Defense. This one cautious commander's Minister of Defense might lead a fleet in combat. Thinking that red profits gain XP from doing so. Cool. Let's get right on to mineral processing. Do the automation building. There's reductions upkeep from traits and automation building definitely be useful eventually. But purification plant is actually more cost effective right now. Minerals that pass through these purifiers are the highest quality. And working on the archives and energy deficit gets worse in Anchor. It might actually be worth this governor charge it to get the upkeep production. The overall upkeep may be higher in the world. Yeah, it is. So I'm sure I get some trade value, but I lose energy overall. All these creatures. I'm securing. Dorians in about 4 months off. Honestly, the automation buy is pretty marginal. I don't know if you get the multipliers, but assuming you do. Get about 15 minerals for all of an energy. So if you get all those multipliers, if you don't, it'd actually be not profitable. It's a cost-effective place to automate, maybe on the synth actually. To automate the little bit of farming I do here. Do a hydroponics building and then automation. Since upkeep would be base 8 from one district, that'd be 500 jobs automated, so 175, or sorry, 125 pops freed up essentially from farming. Go work in the mines. Next up, we'll be building a biology lab in the archives and Anchor. Or maybe a monument. I don't want to reduce the number of squires right away, and a monument will increase night uni output. Tale of Knights May and Daria, the finding. Arriving at Shadowed Princess, Daria found clear signs of the toxic god substances. Light to those left on Hesek Prime after entities passing were here in great quantities. Even better, a light spaceship was discovered almost intact, save for significant corrosion that had compromised its hull. However, elation quickly turned to sorrow, and Daria wept as she located a corroded Alarian faint residue near the craft. All that remained of May Kobayashi. The long sojourn in the darkness of space had caused the god's poison to react unexpectedly, concentrating to such a degree that could only be handled with extreme caution. It's clear to Daria that the toxic god frequented the Malvanas cluster several centuries before it visited Hesek Prime. With no further clues as to the god's current location, Daria returned home. Samples of the deity's toxins retrieved greatly advanced the Or's knowledge of the entity's properties. For this, she was feted, and ever since songs have been sung about her travels. Add uni. Oh, wait. I'm not sure these things will pass on to my successor empire. But this adds a feature to the homeworld, which definitely will be. That's ship weapons damage. And extra night jobs on the habitat. It'll also open up a district slot. More pops in the long run. Can use this to improve our weaponry. This would be beneficial dealing with the bread profits and be beneficial for sure for my successor empire. Which end up controlling the original system. Uni and even tech eventually taper off in cost effectiveness. Really, game as techs become more and more expensive. Your empire size increases. Let's just use it to improve our weaponry. That'll add night jobs to Anchor, unfortunately, that I can't fully fill. 100 more squires. I mean, 200 more knights. I don't have any squires left. Should construct a monument to the dead knight. Shoot. Need more enforcers at this point. So more police. Better to avoid the root causes of crime, but sometimes you just need to deal with it. I mean, police were trained in like mental health stuff, and the justice system is more fair. Unfortunately, it's such a broken institution that the police really do need to be disbanded and rebuilt. That's what any sane person means when they talk about disbanding the police. Defunding the police, they're talking about, like, for a time, having a period where you get by with very few police officers, which will cause some problems, but enough for, you know, people to find other careers, not just sit and wait for you to recreate the police department, and then you rebuild it from scratch with new people, and a greater emphasis on like mental health and like professionals and psychologists working with police officers and social workers in a more integrative approach that's less violent, ultimately. Anyways. Got a new, as you can see, another district slot available on Hesek Prime. And Toxin's most deadly. Left in the DT's wake Our many pools most venomous, from which remnants of its toxins may be recovered. Thanks to the efforts of the Knights of Tox God, we were now able to harvest and make diverse use of this potent poison. And I can build a new district. Probably just a generator district because need energy for now. I'm doing okay for maybe a city district in a while. The jobs it gives in science and manufacturing. To do some automation. Anyways, it does add to the planet's capacity. I made a get rid of replace one of these luxury residences. Replace one with I don't know. Another alloy foundry? Maybe? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe not. Logical thing would probably be automation building, maybe. Commercial zone to deal with my profound lack of trade. Before it becomes even bigger problem as I start specialized worlds. And maybe a commercial zone. Some traders. We need a well trade. But, I don't know. Figure it out. I mean, I can have max growth here pops. I'm definitely going to settle eventually from Hesic Prime. To automate may have some end up with civilians and send as synth, probably. Just needs to start develop some specialist jobs. Artisans, that kind of stuff. Oh, I was doing it the other way around because this almost certainly I won't get the replicator system. This Empire, the Aleph Aliens will, probably. Oops. Okay. Whatever. Head of research will eventually level up. Pay off. First contact, Aleph Aliens. Our attempts to learn more about the Aleph Aliens have so far been in vain. While we were easily able to discern that they clearly form part of a technologically advanced alien civilization, further facts have proven elusive as they seem to be going to considerable effort to prevent us and any other eavesdroppers from intercepting signals from them. Did I intercept some before? We have therefore only managed to intercept small fragments of their language so far. However, from the glimpses we've gleaned, our linguists are confident they'll be able to decipher the communications if we can just acquire a greater sample size. Yeah, I got some audio from them before, but yeah, they're being cautious. Makes it harder to decode their language. Using odds, they might decode mine first. You know, boring the cultist ship, that'll be done very soon. To the unknown. Oh yeah, just gonna put the this mostly useless person on that. 10% mine losing. If survives long enough, may become an actual politician. Bit of research. Make the pacifists happier. I don't want to lose meticulous researchers. This is so much in leveling them. Find what anomalies I can while there's something left of them. Real fake anomalies. You guys haven't figured out. It's part of the reason I chose the Knights is because they get increased anomaly chance from policies. I think anomalies add a lot of excitement to the game. They're fun. Boarding action. Those survivors offered
project has concluded.
Stiff resistance. Survived all this time, or somehow. I mean, the game's only been on 21 years, so it's less than 20. It's not like they would have died of old age, at least. Though the survivors offered stiff resistance, their boarding party was able to secure several prisoners from the disabled cultist starship. From them, we have learned that this conspiracy goes far deeper than we initially suspected. The agents of the Red Prophets include several flag officers and high-ranking officials within our government. Mass arrests are being made on Hesek Prime, and all assets belonging to this cult have been seized. However, several of the starships that built in secret remain unaccounted for. Upper echelons of the cult's leadership have vanished. We have picked up faint ion trails leading to several outlying systems. We must pursue these terrorists. If I do get a cult pendant, it's calling it an ISS kangaroo pendant instead. A symbol hewn from semi-precious stone confiscated from kangaroos is the name of the military ship that found it. Cult of, yeah, this is clearly misprogrammed, that it references the wrong thing here. Interrogation reports revealed that cult members carried pendants according to their rank within the group's hierarchy. New recruits molded their own symbol from clay, while senior cultists commissioned detailed pieces and precious metals. Gives Meryl some jobs. It's a cool thing to have. Larger empire. Give me a second. Actually, I can deal with that later. Yes, the fanatical cult thing. You get some cool specimens for the Grand Archive. Might scale up. It's actually an annoying event chain I used to hate getting, but now it's getting those specimens makes it worth it. Wow. Still a little irritating at times. Okay. It's going to be 3 systems where there would be cultist forces. Brius. At least that's not in my way. Oh geez, Mithrop? Are we just about to send a instruction ship and liaison? So I can't expand further without saying a fleet. Darn it. Darn it. Darn it. I'm gonna have to upgrade my ships and send them out soon. Maybe I'll deal with these mining drones I'm at it. Mining drone station, so Jimin can finish surveying that world. Have to reroute the Bengal. We actually go and pick up these research deposits, build research stations. I hadn't done it before, but definitely have the energy now, or will. Say that, but actually I'm adding to energy with this, Man, the archives will have a xenobiology lab before long. We'll actually mine it first, and then a lab later. At least the minement doesn't cost upkeep. I think. to that generator district and Hessic Prime before too long. Maybe even next. Energy management is in the works, but it'll be a while. Yeah, I should get something. Maybe I automate, because actually I'm short of his labor, not jobs, and not technician jobs, but labor to do. Alright, well I can build some surface quarries and then an automation building. I guess surface quarries are more cost effective to automate. This idea. It's probabilistic versus deep mines underground. These are annoying locations for the cultist ships. Forces me to deal with them or risk losing the construction ship if I send it into one of these systems and the cultists attack it. It means I can't build outposts easily. Maybe stop me from expanding too much. Maybe a tiny empire on the edge of the galaxy thanks to this. It builds up quite a while before trying to go to war.
System survey concluded.
Cool. Alright. Here I'm headed to the unknown. Guess I could do this. Probably this empire would have dealt with any actual shitoids by now. This Carambol system. Nonetheless, we'll swap some. Mantis. Oh, this one can't do it. Make it. Ways on cultist ships either. I have to change a number of my plans. Let me try and bypass this, actually. Yeah, I'll stick with the original location. Hope that if the science ship is attacked, the scientist gets away alive. But if I risk the lower level scientist. Alright. Go and do the research station instead. Always be needed to expand the fleet, to upgrade the fleet anyhow. Should soon find out what's there. Aerostat colonies. It's cool. So finish that anomaly. I think it gives scale research or something. I'm not gonna do anything with it regardless right this second. Oh yeah, I do have extra 200 knights. Just give me even more naval cap. I probably don't want, but whatever. Oof. Yeah. Need more forces there. Sorry, someone said hello to me, but I got distracted. Anyways, War in the Void. Oh no. News, the risk of the dimensional horror being wherever. Goodbye, Joachim Ortiz. Your service will be honored. They'll certainly not survive their turn this way, but we'll find out. Uh, that sucks. Most certainly was that science ship. Just charging up a
Our
weapon or
science ship
something.
is under fire.
Yep. Ortiz died when the Cortez was destroyed. Didn't manage to make emergency FTL jump. That's what I figured. I could hire a new scientist. It's 40 though. Rather wait for the next batch and hire one. Plus I need the alloys. I don't have a science ship for the scientist. I don't much want a adaptable. Alright, well adaptable is actually not terrible, but nonetheless. Alright. Well, when you bravely go into the void, sometimes the void stares back into you. Sometimes you don't. The void bites back at you. Exploration always has risks. Start the system. There. Right then. Contact report. Leviathan. The Larian populace is praying. The giant being encountered in the dark has caused many a denizen of the Empire to fear for their sanity, or doubt their faith in the divine. Are these giants the guardians of all life, and that which created it, or its enemy? Fiends to test our faith. The dimensional horror for sure. I think that is a reasonable attitude. Mostly flavor, what you pick, I don't think has any impact on anything. well, it's been enough for now. I hope you folks enjoyed this video. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. May you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Till next time, this Northstar, adieu. Best luck.